And that's because it's no fun turning down chocolate mousse. On the other hand, if you do, and I'll just do two examples here, I think. So one of the interventions that works is called 3 blessings. And that's simply, for the next week, when you go to bed at night, write down 3 things that went well and why they went well. And it turns out that relieves depression, it increases well-being, but importantly, people just keep doing it. And that's because it's fun to do. So 3 blessings is one of these interventions. Another intervention is developed by my wife, Mandy, who's sitting in the front row. Mandy is a prize-winning photographer. Mandy, people stand up and wave. So Mandy said we could actually do better than 3 blessings, and that's because everyone has an iPhone. So all day long, you can take photographs of the things that go well in your life and then rehearse those at night. So Mandy has a free website called seeinghappy.org in which thousands of people publish photographs of what makes them happy and use them in the 3 blessings exercise, and they share them with other people. Those are 2 effective things. Signature strengths. How many of you have taken the VIA signature strengths test? Good. Okay, well, the signature strengths exercise is simply to take your highest strength and use it more at work. And it turns out that produces higher well-being 6 months later and lower depression. And I'll do active constructive here. I'm afraid it'll embarrass Mandy, but let me do it here. Okay, this is one of Mandy's photographs, black and white picture of a swan. The way this intervention developed was out of marital therapy and sex therapy. How many of you teach marital therapy or sex therapy? Okay. Those of you who do know this is the hardest form of therapy to do. Basically, in marital therapy, when I taught it, what you do is you try to teach people to fight better. That is, you don't want them to have the same argument every day. And so you're trying to take insufferably bad marriages and make them barely tolerable. And that's not really positive psychology. So about 15 years ago, a group of positive marital therapists developed, and they asked the question, not how do you fight, but how do you celebrate together? When something good happens, what should you do? If your spouse comes to you with a victory, what should you say? Okay. This is not something I knew how to do until I read the literature on this and started to teach it. Now, the story here is several years ago, Mandy came downstairs and said, I just got a call from the editor of Black and White magazine. Black and White magazine is the leading international publication for black and white photography. And the editor told me I won first prize in Black and White magazine. Okay, what should I say? Well, what I would have said until I read the literature was, congratulations, dear. You deserve it. You're a great photographer. That is called passive constructive. That has no effect on anything at all. It's wallpaper. I've trained 40,000 drill sergeants in the United States Army. Drill sergeants are, as you imagine them, they're tough, they're critical, they're negative, and what they do, what they would have said to Mandy was active destructive. you know what tax bracket that award is going to put us in? You know how much tax we're going to have to pay on it? That destroys relationships. Passive destructive is, what's for dinner, Mandy? That's a relationship destroyer. The only thing that works is active constructive, and it takes thought and it takes time, and it's vastly better than congratulations, Mandy, you're a great photographer. So the first thing you do with active constructive is you have to show the person you're talking to that you really know what they're talking about. So I said to Mandy, having read this literature and taught it, was it the picture of the swan that you took at Blenheim that won this prize? And she said, yeah. And I said, that's the best black and white picture of an animal I've ever seen. So the first thing I did was to show I understood what had happened. And then, because we all come from humble, modest societies in which good events just wash right off you like water off a duck's back, you now want to put Mandy in touch with what just happened. So I said to Mandy, well, where were you when the editor called? And she told me where she was. Now, what verbatim exactly did he say? And she then rehearsed what he said. And then I said, what is it about your photography that you think contributed to beating all these Pulitzer Prize-winning New York Times photojournalists? And she said, well, I'm quite good with gray and nuances of gray. And then I said, how can you use these skills so you can teach our 5 kids better photography, better drawing, and more aesthetic appreciation? And then I said, let's open that bottle of Dom Perignon that's been sitting in the refrigerator for 3 years. So it turns out when you do this empirically, love and commitment go up, sex gets better, and divorce goes down. Now, I'm not going to have time to talk about the application of this because I do want to talk about AI, but positive psychology and resilience training have been widely adopted around the world. Starting 15 years ago, the United States Army instituted Penn resilience training and positive psychology for all soldiers, all 1.1 million soldiers in the United States Army. And that was at a time at which we were fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan, post-traumatic stress disorder, suicide, panic, drug addiction were all problems we were dealing with. So the Army decided to teach resilience to the entire Corps, and the 40,000 drill sergeants that we trained were the teachers. We first trained them in person, teach the teachers, and then the drill sergeants train the soldiers. And it works. It's now a regulation in the United States Army. Everyone on day one has to take a 100-item test called the GAT. It's about positive and negative emotion. And then everyone gets resilience training and positive interventions. This is, for those of you who are coach, how many of you are coaches? Okay, this should be the best reference for coaching right now. It's called positive psychotherapy because we sharpened our teeth on pathology, but it's heart of coaching. This is 14 sessions with 14 different interventions that you can